Hello there, welcome back to the channel, and today I want to bring you out to a location which I am coming back to tonight to shoot the Milky Way. And here it is, it's a farm scene here. Now I know the farmer who owns this property and he's great, he's helped me in the past find locations to shoot, so I have no problem being here. He knows I'm here. And that's always a good thing, to get some permission from the landholders before you go in. Anyway, I'm going to go and show you the shed. Now from the road here, this doesn't look particularly spectacular, but I have a feeling that I'm going to be able to get a composition in here facing in the western sky. So here we are in October here in Australia, that's springtime, and we have a setting Milky Way galaxy in the western sky. So let's go and have a look. I'll show you the composition I think may work here. Now I'm just on the way in here, but it's really funny, you know, because I've been here before on this area, and you can see a tree behind me there in the background. Now I've shot that a few times, but probably the one that really sticks out to me is when we had this awesome aurora happening. So from this angle that we're at here now, that's facing down towards the south, and I shot this here, well, it would probably be, gee, I reckon it might be about 3 years ago now. So it's funny how you can keep coming back to a similar location, even if you're chasing completely different photographs, and still find something else completely different. Well, here it is. This is my composition that I scouted out some time ago and thought, well, I've got to come back here when the Milky Way's over there in the west. It's a hay shed, basically. Now in the end there, you'll see there's an old tractor. I did speak to the farmer about that tractor, and he said he could probably get it out for me, but this is the wrong composition for that tractor. What I'm going to do is come back probably early next year and get him to put it out somewhere else in the paddock over there with a clear view towards the east, so I can get a rising Milky Way galaxy over the top of that little tractor there. And you might think, well, you know, how did you come about all those sort of decisions? Well, I'm always thinking about the best place to view things. So there's a few power lines and things around here which I don't like, and also I think it might take him a bit of effort to get that thing going. But anyway, so I'm just going to leave it in the shed there for this photograph. So where the camera is placed there is pretty much the view. So the Milky Way sets over the top of this shed and those trees down there where the road is. Oh man, there's flies everywhere. Springtime, that's what you get. Okay, so I'm going to show you with photo pills here exactly what my composition might look like. So let's have a look. You can see the shed in the foreground here. There we now have the Milky Way galaxy up there at about 10 o'clock tonight. So roughly, and it sets down over the top of this shed, as I said. Now I've got to make some decisions here. I could do a Milky Way arch, which I think might look okay over the top here. And I may well do that, or I could just shoot with a wider angle lens and get a fair bit of the sky there. So it depends on how I decide to actually shoot this. If I was going to do a Milky Way arch, then I might decide to do a tracked sky and a separate foreground with perhaps long exposures. But if I don't decide to do an arch, I might just stack the image from the same tripod location. So I've got a few things I can do when I get here tonight, and I'll probably think about that and ponder it a bit, let it sit. But you can see there, Milky Way galaxy sits right over the top of the shed. Yeah, really nice indeed. So some of the decisions I'm thinking about is, what do I want behind my scene? Now you can see here, I'll just zoom in and show you, there's some trees down in the back there. Now I don't mind that tree that stands alone, not that happy about that one there that intersects the back of the shed. So ones like this, the dead tree there, don't mind that so much. So you can see when I zoom back what it looks like. Now, the other thing I may want to include is that tree I just showed you previously over here on the left of the frame. But the problem is, if I go too wide, there's a big power pole there, which is very, very annoying. I may decide to actually bring my camera closer in to the shed so that I can get rid of some of those scenes. So if I bring my camera closer in to the shed, physically move the camera, then the tree in the background, where are we? That one there will probably disappear behind the shed. I'd like to keep this one and probably that one because I think they'll look okay. But if I do move my camera closer, then I can probably get rid of this ugly power pole. So these are some of the things that you go through when you're seeking to work out your composition. The other thing I've got to be a bit careful of here in this location will be snakes, because it's a hay shed, so that'll bring mice, and you know, mice will bring snakes. I mean, that's the sort of thing we have to face here in Australia. Don't you worry about that at all. The grass is nice and short around here. So if there's anything around, I will see it before it sees me. There we go, and right on cue, there's one just on the road there. Now I've just come to have a look close up to the shed here, and I found this scene here. All it is a heap of wire, a fence and a tyre, but have a look above it. Look at that, there's our Milky Way. It's one of these little scenes that I reckon I can make something out of. There's our tree over there in the background. Look, I might have a look at this. This could be a perfect place to do a touch of light painting, just to see if I can get something a little bit different. All right, so continuing my theme of searching locations, here's an old well on this property. I'd love to be able to take a photo of this, maybe with a bit of light painting or something, but it's facing the wrong direction for a setting Milky Way because I've got trees right behind it. But it does face northeast, I reckon that'll be up there, which means that if I come back here, perhaps in the summer here in Australia, I've got Orion over in that part of the sky, and maybe I can do that. I don't think, let me just get over here. Oh gee, I might even get a rising Milky Way straight behind the camera there. I reckon that's about southeast. There's a bit of a gap. And so this is what I'm always doing. I'm always out here trying to find compositions in areas that you really wouldn't look at. It's just junk laying around here. It's a farm. That's what you get on farms. But I think this could actually be a spot that is worth coming back to multiple times. Well, there you go. That's pretty much what I'm doing here, just scouting out. But the next time you see me here, I think will be tonight when I come back to shoot the hay shed over there, and we'll just see what we can capture. All right, well, here we are back on location out at the farm. And as you can see, it's a beautiful clear sky and there's no wind. Oh man, this is just the type of night that you dream of. Milky Way galactic core is shining over there. I've got to get going because it's setting down there pretty quick. I want to get in there and I'm going to do some tracking tonight, but I'm also just going to do fixed tripod compositions. I'm just going to work out which one I like the best because I've got a couple of options then. But anyway, there's an owl or something up there. The wildlife here in Australia. I mean, we've already seen a snake today, but who else could be out here? You just don't know. Anyway, let's get into it. So as you can see, I'm down here now with the shed in the background there, Milky Way right over the top, looks gorgeous. And I'm taking a few different types of compositions while I'm here. So far I've just shot some panoramas, and I started off with a 30-second shutter speed ISO 3200 at f2.2, and I did a pano that just swept around the side. No lighting of any sort, just ambient light. It's very, very dark here. This would be somewhere between Bortle 2 and 3, so probably about a Bortle 2.5 sky, so it's pretty dark. There is a bit of light pollution on the horizon on both sides here, but above, straight above here, it's very, very dark. And then what I did some light painting. So I stopped my shutter speed back down to 15 seconds. I think it was still f2.2 at ISO 3200. And I did a little bit of light painting and I shot a horizontal panorama. Now, light painting panoramas is not an easy thing to do because you have to try and get consistent lighting. What most people would probably recommend is doing low-level lights so that the lighting's always exactly the same. But the problem with that, when you do panoramas is you're sweeping around, and invariably you will capture the lights that you've got up on light stands doing your low level lighting. So to alleviate that problem, I used my torch and just did light painting, as you know that I love to do. And of course the advantage of that is, well, I can light up the building here and you can see the detail a lot more. Now I'll play around with both of those and I'll show you what I end up liking the most, I guess. But I'm going to do a bit more of that now just to show you what it looks like. And oh, that Milky Way's coming down over the top of the building. It looks absolutely beautiful. All right, so I've just been looking at those images here on the camera. I'm absolutely delighted. I think all of those have come out pretty well on the screen here. Of course, I've got to look at it back on the computer at home to be absolutely sure. So the core's getting down lower. Now I've got a couple of other compositions I want to have a look at here tonight. One of which is that composition I showed you earlier today over by the fence there with the tyre and the wire and so forth. The other thing, and you would have seen in some of the B-roll footage from previous today, was the canola crop. Across the other side of the road here, there's a heap of canola. And I think, well, you know, you can't really let that go without having a shot of it. But I'm going to wait for that core to get down a bit lower because I want to try and get some sort of some specialty shots, if you like. I'll see how I go. It's getting down lower. I'll tell you what, it might just be time for a cuppa and maybe just a sneaky something to eat. But anyway, I'll do that and we'll just continue on tonight's adventure. All set up with the Nomad tracker here, Z6 Mark II, Astro modified 20mm f1.8. I'm shooting the Milky Way Galactic Core Arch Panorama on the road here. So the shed's just over the back there. I'm on the road with a nice clean horizon down this side. I'm seeing some beautiful zodiacal light. This time of year, October, that's when you see it. And I've stopped down to f2.5. I'm shooting at 60-second shutter speeds at ISO 800. And look, I've done a heap of overlap, 50% at least, maybe even more on some of these shots. Yeah, I've gone right around. I don't know, I shot about 8 or 9, 10 maybe, who knows, in portrait orientation. So now I'm going to go back in and continue my composition over by the shed. All right, so here we are in this little spot and I'm just light painting all of this rubbish. Fence post, old tyre, up there Milky Way in the background looks great. It's nice and low now so I can get this composition to work, I think. Look, I don't know how it's going to go. I'll probably only need about 3 shots, I reckon, to light this up. But it's my fine art light painting method, so I'm going to give it a go. Okay, one last little hurrah before I call it quits for the night. Canola field here. Now, it's beautiful, particularly in the daytime, but really hard to shoot at night time because it's very bright. Now, I've tried to light paint canola. That is a task, I can tell you. It is very, very difficult to do. Even with the slightest breeze, it will blow around and blur. So I've done a bit of focus stacking, trying to stop down the aperture and get a sharper picture of especially this stuff that's really close to the camera. Milky Way's very low to the horizon down there in the background. Looks great on the back of the camera. So look, it won't all be in focus. I can tell you that right now. It's very, very difficult because of the movement, but I think it'll come out okay. All right, well, that's it. I am done and dusted for the night. I'll tell you what, you always know it's getting late at this time of year when you're packing up and you look behind you and you can see Orion in the background, which is what I am seeing up there right now. Just rising above the eastern horizon. So I suppose in the next few weeks, I don't know, at some stage in the future, I'll be out chasing Orion. That's what happens with us astro landscape photographers. But anyway, look, I appreciate you hanging in there with me tonight, and I'm going to leave you right here, but I'm going to show you the images that I was able to capture tonight. So in the meantime, I'll look forward to seeing you in the next video. Have a great week. Check out the images now.